I knew from a very young age that my family didn't have money. Getting sick cost money, so I wasn't even allowed to get sick. When I was 4 years old, I had a very high fever. My mom grabbed me and locked me in a cold room. When she took me out, I was still conscious, blinking and looking at her. My face felt freezing cold. Even my tears had completely dried on my skin. My mom looked at me with irritation. "You're just pretending so you don't have to go to school. See? You didn't die." After that day, I kept every discomfort to myself. I thought maybe my mom was right. Maybe I really was pretending. Otherwise, why did every pain and discomfort disappear without medicine or injections? Life went on like that until high school organized a medical checkup. I ran home with the diagnosis in my hand, almost excited. "Mom, I have cancer." This time, with proof from a doctor, my mom wouldn't think I was lying. "Mom, I'm not lying this time." I ran home holding the diagnosis tightly. My emotions were mixed, nervous, but also strangely hopeful. The doctor said I had at most 3 months left. I still didn't want to die. But I couldn't help hoping that during those 3 months, my mom and dad would finally take care of me. Whenever my younger brother got sick, the whole family would gather around him. I wasn't being greedy. I would have been satisfied if someone simply took me to the hospital. I pushed the door open and held up the paper, afraid they wouldn't notice it. "Mom, Dad, I have cancer." The room went silent for 2 seconds. Then I heard hurried footsteps, along with my mom's familiar lavender scent. I lowered the paper and opened my arms, ready for her hug. But my mom snatched the diagnosis and tore it into pieces. Before I could process what was happening, a sharp pain spread through my chest. I didn't receive her hug. I received her disgust. "Your brother is sleeping. Don't you know that? And you still make up such a ridiculous lie?" My dad put down his newspaper and walked over. "Emily, you're old enough to be reasonable. Everyone knows you're healthy. You've never even had a cold. If you're going to lie, at least make it believable." I covered my face and pointed toward the torn diagnosis in the trash. But the doctor said my mom and dad had already turned away, discussing my brother's meal plan. "Ethan has lost weight again. That $700 meal plan clearly isn't enough." My dad looked concerned. "But the next level costs $1,500. We really can't afford it." My mom suddenly turned back to me. "The hospital is recruiting volunteers for a new drug trial. They specifically need healthy people. They pay $50 per person." I was going to sign up myself, but we're both too busy with work. I understood what my mom was implying. Hope flickered in my chest. If they needed to check the volunteers' health, then my mom and dad would finally realize I wasn't lying. "Mom, let me be the volunteer." My dad immediately spoke. "That's very thoughtful of you. You know Ethan has always been fragile. As his older sister, you should be understanding." My mom let out a cold laugh. "Trying to earn points after admitting you lied? Fine, I'll give you this chance." She took out a small red pill and gestured for me to swallow it. Good thing I work at the hospital. It saves us all that trouble. I didn't take it. I looked closely at the pill. "Mom, don't I need a checkup first?" My mom frowned. "What checkup? You're always thinking about spending money. If you're not healthy, then no one is." My dad glanced at my brother, who looked strong. He coughed once. My dad immediately took the pill from my mom and grabbed a glass of water. Ignoring my resistance, he forced me to swallow it. Why waste words on a kid? "Ethan just coughed. Go check if he's getting sick." I choked, unable to speak. My mom dragged me into my room and locked the door. "I already disinfected your room. Just stay there. The observation period is 3 days. After that, you'll come to the hospital with me. If you behave, I'll buy you takeout." My head started pounding. I wanted to tell my mom I didn't feel well, but no words came out. I banged on the door, forcing a weak sound through my teeth. "Mom, Dad, please help me." Suddenly, a loud thud hit the door from the other side. My dad had kicked it. "You've drained your mother ever since you were born. That's why your brother is so weak now. And you still dare to complain? You clearly don't see what you've done wrong," my mom gasped. For a moment, I thought they had finally found the diagnosis in the trash. "His temperature is 99.5. A little higher and he'll have a fever. Take him to the hospital quickly." My dad ignored my muffled cries behind the door. I heard keys. Then the front door slammed shut. I touched my face. Tears kept streaming down. "Mom, Dad, it hurts." Slowly, I lost consciousness. When I opened my eyes again, I was floating. At first, I thought I was dreaming. Everything felt light, too light. I looked down, confused, then slowly moved forward. I passed through the door without even touching it, That's when a strange thought crossed my mind. Good. Mom and Dad finally let me out. I walked toward the dining table and sat down properly. I told myself I would apologize later. Explain everything calmly. I didn't know how much time had passed before the front door opened. My parents walked in carrying a large cream cake. It smelled sweet. Really sweet. I swallowed without thinking. Usually, I only got a small bite of cake during my brother's birthday. I never expected to have a whole cake, especially not because I had cancer. My mom glanced impatiently toward my room. Emily, come out and eat some cake. Be grateful your brother didn't get sick because of the scare you caused. Otherwise, you'd be in serious trouble. I blinked. Mom. Dad, I'm right here. I'm sitting at the table. I stood up and walked toward them, trying to hug them, but my body went straight through. I froze. They were still staring at the door of my room. After about 10 seconds, my mom walked over and knocked hard. Now you're ignoring us? Your brother ended up in the hospital because of you, and I didn't even blame you. And now you're throwing a tantrum? I didn't understand. I walked back and forth in front of them, waving my hands. I shouted right next to their ears. Mom, Dad, I'm here. I'm not ignoring you. No response. Not even a reaction. My dad picked up my slice of cake and threw it straight into the trash. This is what happens when you spoil her. Let's teach her a lesson. 3 days without food won't kill her. Something inside me went cold. I turned and rushed toward my room. I passed through the door without resistance, and then I saw it. A body, curled up on the floor, right next to the door. The wood was scratched, deep marks from fingernails, my fingernails. I stared at it for a long time. That body was mine. No wonder Mom and Dad never liked me. I looked terrible. I was already dead. I didn't feel what I thought I would feel. Not really. No overwhelming sadness, just a small sense of regret. Those 3 months I had hoped for didn't even last one day. But it was fine. At least now. I could stay near Mom and Dad without worrying about anything. My mom noticed the torn diagnosis, now stained with cream from the cake. She frowned and picked it up carefully. Wait, this looks real. My dad glanced at it and scoffed. You're a nurse. How can you not tell? AI is so advanced now. Anyone can fake something like this. If you don't believe me, we'll ask Emily. He walked to my door and kicked it a couple of times. You forged this, right? Tell the truth and you'll get food tomorrow. I shook my head over and over, even though I knew they couldn't see me. Dad, I didn't fake it. It's real. The doctor gave it to me. The only response came from my brother's mocking laugh. See? She's not saying anything. That means she's admitting it. I didn't expect her to start lying this young. If only she behaved half as well as I do. I wanted to speak. I really did. But I couldn't. I ran back into the room and hugged my own body tightly. It was so cold. Maybe because, for the first time, I wasn't answering them. After checking on my brother for a while, they came back to my door. Emily, we need to check your condition now. Don't even think about pretending to be dead, I whispered instinctively. I'm not pretending. Am I really dead? My dad sighed heavily. I think she needs a real punishment. I watched him walk toward the cat bed in the hallway. A terrible feeling grew inside me. Dad, don't. He picked up Whiskers, the cat I had raised myself, and carried him to my door. If you don't speak, your cat will pay for it. I rushed forward, trying to grab him. Whiskers was the only one in that house who had ever listened to me, but my hands went right through. Dad, I'm talking. Please put him down. I don't have cancer. I lied about everything. My mom was already getting impatient. She scared the cat on purpose. Whiskers' soft fur instantly stood on end. He started meowing in fear. My mouth opened, but no tears came out. My soul could only tremble. No, but it was too late. The cat panicked violently, and my dad lost his grip. He forgot. Right outside my door was the apartment balcony. Everything went blank. A dull sound echoed. My chest felt empty. My mom tried to stop it, but it was too late. When she saw people gathering downstairs, she clicked her tongue. Someone will definitely ask how the cat fell. We can't let this ruin our reputation. Just say Emily accidentally let it out. Make her come out and apologize. As soon as she finished speaking, my dad snapped out of it and grabbed the doorknob. This is all because you insisted on throwing a tantrum. The cat falling is your fault. I looked down at Whiskers' body. Broken. Still, I couldn't even speak. But then, something strange happened. A small, familiar presence appeared beside me. Whiskers. His soul floated next to mine. Only then did I feel like I could still stand. I picked him up. He felt the same. Soft, warm, just like before. I carried him back into the room with me. Would Mom and Dad finally realize? What would they do if they found out? Suddenly, a phone started ringing. My dad answered it. A voice came through the other end. "We caught Dylan. Do you want to come to the station and press charges?" The moment I heard that name, everything inside me froze. That man, the one from the alley, the one who had stopped me to ask for directions, the one who had taken advantage of my hesitation to corner me, the one who scared me and hurt me. My body stiffened. Even now, I could still remember his voice, the way he spoke. The threats he whispered so casually, like it meant nothing. That night, when I got home, I had washed my face over and over again. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. When my mom found out, she went to the police station that same night. After that, she started picking me up from school every day, but they never caught him. Until now. My mom and dad exchanged a look. Then my dad spoke first. "You know what? That guy's father came to see me. He said he'd give us $200,000 if we dropped the case." My mom glanced toward my bedroom door. That would cover Ethan's meal plan for the whole year. Besides, what happened to Emily can't be undone. As long as that man learns his lesson. She paused, then added, "And look at Emily now, acting like this, throwing tantrums. She needs to learn a lesson too." I sat in the back seat as they drove, holding Whiskers in my arms. The police station came into view, and there he was, sitting there like nothing had happened, leaning back, legs crossed, with that same arrogant expression. He looked at my parents with clear contempt. His father stood next to him. Even worse, calm, cold, untouchable. He reached out and shook my dad's hand. "Let's talk privately." I followed them. I didn't need to hear everything. I already knew. My dad nodded, agreed. $200,000. Just like that. It felt like something inside me shattered completely. The man who hurt me walked out of the station freely, like nothing had happened. I wanted to run at him. I wanted to hurt him, make him feel even a fraction of what I felt, but I couldn't. My parents had already sold that chance. Sold me. On the way back home, the car was quiet. Too quiet. Then my mom spoke. "I still feel like maybe we shouldn't take the money." My dad tightened his grip on the steering wheel. "You're worried Emily will be upset?" "We just won't tell her." He exhaled slowly. "Emily has always been healthy, but Ethan, he's fragile. It hurts to see him like that. Just think of it as the last thing Emily does for her brother." He paused. "When we get home, we'll let her out. We'll take her somewhere nice. Let her relax, and she won't have to do that trial anymore." I sat there, completely still. My heart felt empty. Dead. "Dad, don't bother. I'm already dead. I can't go anywhere." My mom's phone rang. She answered it casually. "Hello?" It was my teacher. "We've been marking Emily as excused these past few days, so she hasn't been at school. I understand this is a difficult time for you as parents, but you shouldn't show it so strongly in front of her." My mom frowned. "What are you talking about? What difficult time?" "Didn't Emily tell you about the cancer?" There was a pause on the other end. I could hear the teacher hesitate, then swallow. "Ma'am, you don't know?" "Know what?" "That your daughter passed away?" The car stopped abruptly. My mom dropped the phone. She stared straight ahead like she had seen something impossible. Technically, I was the impossible thing. I watched the color drain from her face. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. My dad slammed the brakes so hard the seatbelts locked. "What did you say?" My mom's voice came out broken. I picked up the phone from the floor. The teacher was still speaking, her voice trembling. "The ambulance came 3 days ago. The neighbors called after hearing repeated banging on the wall. When they arrived, they found her. The paramedics said she had already been unresponsive for at least 2 days. I thought you already knew." The officer who went to the hospital said he spoke with the father. My dad grabbed the phone and threw it onto the front seat. He stared at his hands. The same hands that forced the pill into my mouth. The same hands that held Whiskers. The silence inside the car changed. It wasn't the usual silence. Not the kind where they ignored me. This one felt different. Like something had cracked. Like a truth too big to ignore had finally broken through. I stroked Whiskers gently. His soft purring filled the empty space around me. "See?" I whispered. "They finally know." My mom got out of the car halfway home. She bent over on the sidewalk and threw up. My dad didn't move. His knuckles turned white on the steering wheel. I didn't feel satisfied. Not even a little. Just tired. A kind of tired I didn't know ghosts could feel. When we got back, the apartment was sealed. Yellow tape stretched across the entrance. 2 police officers were standing outside, speaking quietly. One of them recognized my dad and walked over. His expression? I knew it. It was the kind of look people had when they needed to say something bad, something heavy. Mr. Carter, we've been trying to contact you. There are several things we need to discuss with you and your wife. Another officer stepped forward. The medical examiner needs you to formally identify the body, and we have questions about the circumstances. The neighbors reported hearing someone calling for help that night. My dad opened his mouth. I knew that expression. He always had something to say, some explanation, some way to make things sound reasonable. My daughter, she tends to exaggerate. Dad. I couldn't help it. I said it quietly, even knowing he couldn't hear me. Please, don't say that. The officer raised a hand slightly. With all due respect, sir, that will be determined during the investigation. For now, we need you to come with us. My mom was still standing near the car. Her arms were wrapped tightly around herself like she was holding herself together. I looked at her. It was the first time I had ever seen her like that. She always seemed so sure about everything, about me pretending, about Ethan being fragile, about money. Now, she didn't seem sure of anything. I walked toward her without thinking. Not to comfort her, just out of habit. Years of wanting her attention didn't disappear just because I was dead. Whiskers slipped out of my arms and walked ahead of me. He stopped right in front of her. Of course, she didn't see him. She walked straight through him and headed inside. The hospital looked the same as always. That clean smell, something sharp, mixed with something sweet, trying to hide it. My mom worked there. She knew every hallway. But today, she walked like she had never been there before. Slow, uncertain. They led us into a small room. Bright lights, cold walls. The medical examiner was already there. A woman with her hair tied back, her expression calm. Professional. She placed a folder on the table. The examination revealed several things. She opened it slowly. First, the cause of death. Your daughter died from an adverse reaction to an experimental compound that was not approved. She paused. Additionally, the prior diagnosis was confirmed. The tumor was real. Stage 2 at the time it was discovered. My mom grabbed the edge of the table. Her fingers tightened. The medical examiner continued. We also found signs consistent with moderate hypothermia in the extremities, and older scars across the torso and arms. She looked up. Would either of you like to explain those? My dad opened his mouth, then closed it again. I knew exactly where those marks came from. The cold room when I was 4. The fall that was my fault. The times I hit the wall, even when I hadn't. But at that moment, none of that mattered as much as what came next. The examiner slid a document across the table. This is a copy of the original diagnosis, the one issued a week ago. I watched my dad look at it, and I saw it, that moment. The moment he realized there was no way to explain this, no way to rearrange things so they made sense. That night, I sat on the roof with Whiskers. Ghosts, apparently, don't feel cold. But the wind still passed through me, like it remembered I used to be real. Below us, the apartment lights were still on. Through the ceiling, I could see my mom sitting at the table, a cup in front of her. Untouched. Ethan was asleep. My dad stood on the balcony, smoking. I had never seen him smoke before. I wondered what they were feeling. Regret? Or just fear of what was coming? I wasn't sure there was a difference anymore. Whiskers leaned against me, purring softly. I ran my fingers through his fur. I don't know what happens next, I whispered, but at least we're still together, right? He blinked slowly. He always listened. Below, my dad's phone rang again. He stared at it for a long moment before answering. I couldn't hear everything clearly, but I caught enough. No, there's no proof of intentional neglect. Yes, the compound is a problem, but my wife works at the hospital. There are ways to explain it. The diagnosis, yes. But she never started treatment. We didn't know it was real. I stayed quiet. That sentence stayed with me. We didn't know it was real. I looked down at my hands, then at Whiskers. Yes, you did, I said softly. You just chose not to care. The next day, someone new showed up. I wasn't expecting her to look like that. Her name was Detective Reyes. She looked to be in her 40s, with short hair and a blue folder tucked under her arm. She arrived early. 9 in the morning. Ethan was still asleep. My mom was in the kitchen, pretending everything was normal while washing dishes. I followed the detective inside. She didn't wait to be invited. "Good morning." She sat down at the dining table like she already belonged there. She opened the blue folder slowly. "I'm in charge of your daughter's case. I have a few questions." My mom dried her hands quickly. "Of course. Whatever you need." Detective Reyes placed a photo on the table. It was the reconstructed diagnosis. Then she placed another sheet next to it, a list. "Compounds found in my body. Do you recognize this substance?" she asked. My mom looked at it, for a second too long. "It's an experimental anti-anxiety drug," she said. "We're testing it at the hospital." "For healthy adults," the detective repeated calmly. "For adults?" She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. The silence did the rest. I moved closer and looked at the folder. I couldn't read everything. But I saw more photos underneath, dates, records, names I recognized, and one name that made everything inside me tighten: Dylan. I froze. Detective Reyes hadn't come just for me. She was connecting everything. That afternoon, I followed her. She went to my school, spoke to my teacher, for a long time. Then she spoke to 2 girls from my class, girls I barely talked to. One of them, Lily. She cried the entire time. She told the detective that I used to come to school hungry, that sometimes I fell asleep in class, that once she saw marks on my wrists and didn't know what to do. She didn't even know I noticed her. Whiskers rubbed against my leg. I stroked his fur quietly. Detective Reyes wrote everything down, without interrupting. When Lily finished, the detective asked just one thing. "Did you ever tell an adult at school?" Lily lowered her head. "I told the counselor once. He said it was probably just a phase." The detective closed her notebook. She didn't say anything, but I saw her write another name. The counselor, another piece. That night, I finally understood. This wasn't just about my death. It was everything, every moment. Every person who could have done something and didn't. My parents, Dylan, the counselor, and probably Dylan's father, and the $200,000. I wondered if she already knew. If she had that part too. I went back to the roof with Whiskers. The sky was clear. The city lights stretched endlessly below us. It felt strange. The world looked so big, full of people, full of chances. And yet, I had died in a locked room. I sat there quietly. Then, I felt something. A presence. Not Whiskers. Something else. Lighter. Unfamiliar. I turned slowly. A little girl stood a few steps away. I had never seen her before. She looked young, maybe 10, maybe 12. Her hair fell straight to her shoulders. Her expression, I recognized it immediately. It was the same look I used to have, the look of someone who had been waiting for a long time, waiting to be seen. She looked at me. I looked at her. "Are you like me?" I asked softly. She nodded once. That was enough. I didn't know her name. I didn't know her story, but I understood. I wasn't alone, not anymore. I sat back down next to Whiskers. The city kept shining below us like nothing had happened, and suddenly, I remembered something. That day, when I was 4, standing there, freezing. My mom looking at me annoyed. "You're just pretending. See? You didn't die. I didn't die back then." But now, here I was, on a rooftop with a ghost cat, and another child who had also been ignored, and I realized something. My whole life had been the same pattern, someone refusing to see what was right in front of them, and me, paying the price for it. The only question now was, would someone finally be held responsible? I looked at the blue folder in my memory. Detective Reyes already had the answer, and I would be there to see it. 3 days later, Detective Reyes came back. This time, she wasn't alone. It was early. 7 in the morning. The doorbell rang. My mom opened the door, still wearing her robe, holding a half-finished cup of coffee. Behind Detective Reyes stood a man in a gray suit and a younger woman carrying a box full of documents. Further down the hallway, 2 uniformed officers waited in silence. "Good morning, Mrs. Carter." Detective Reyes didn't smile. "We need to review some records." "We have a warrant." My mom froze. She took a small step back. I watched her eyes move quickly, searching for my dad. He came downstairs, adjusting his tie. The moment he saw them, he stopped. "What's going on?" He tried to sound calm. It didn't work. "Mr. Carter," Detective Reyes said, stepping inside without waiting. "We've obtained records from the hospital where your wife works. The compound given to your daughter was removed from inventory without authorization 2 weeks ago. The access logs show it was taken using your wife's employee ID. My mom dropped the cup. Coffee spilled across the kitchen floor. No one moved to clean it. I was going to register it later, she said quickly. It was for the trial. The trial is for adults over 21 in perfect health, Detective Reyes replied. She looked directly at her. Your daughter was 16 and had stage 2 cancer. The man in the gray suit opened his folder. Mrs. Carter, we also need to discuss a bank transfer received 5 days ago. $200,000 from an account connected to Mr. Victor Hale. My dad closed his eyes for a second. Victor Hale, Dylan's father. I stayed close, watching everything. The next 2 hours passed slowly. The young woman took photos of documents. The man in the suit asked questions. Short ones, precise ones. Detective Reyes didn't speak much. She observed, listened, and every once in a while, asked something that left no room for excuses. Ethan woke up at some point and stepped into the hallway, confused. My mom told him to go back to his room. Her voice didn't leave space for questions. He obeyed. I watched him go. For the first time, I didn't feel jealous. Just something else. Something like pity. He had grown up believing everything was about him, because that's what they taught him. That wasn't his fault. Around 10 in the morning, Detective Reyes stepped onto the balcony and made a call. I followed her. Yes, we confirmed the transfer. The teacher's statement, the classmates' testimonies, prior medical records, and the forensic report are enough for the prosecutor. She paused. No, the parents won't cooperate voluntarily, but we expected that. Another pause. Dylan Hale is a separate case, but it's connected. The private agreement doesn't invalidate the original charges if coercion can be proven. And the victim? She stopped for a second. Was already deceased when the agreement was made. I froze. Already dead. They had taken the money after I was gone. Whiskers pressed against my leg. I didn't say anything. That same afternoon, Dylan was arrested again. I didn't see it happen. But Detective Reyes got the call while she was still in the apartment. I saw her expression shift slightly. Just a little. Enough to know it mattered. My parents heard it too. My dad looked at my mom. My mom looked at the floor. An hour later, the news came on. The TV had been left on in the living room. Victor Hale appeared on the screen, being escorted by police. Obstruction of justice. Attempted bribery. The reporter kept talking. I barely listened. I just watched. That same man, who had shaken my dad's hand like everything was a business deal, like I was something that could be traded. Now he walked with his head lowered. Even his expensive suit couldn't hide it. That afternoon, something changed inside the apartment. Not loudly. No shouting. No dramatic scene. Just silence. Different from before. My mom walked to my room. The tape sealing it had been removed earlier. She stopped at the doorway. Didn't go in. Just stood there, looking. At everything I had left behind. My books, my desk, my bed, exactly as it had been. She didn't move. My dad walked down the hallway and stopped beside her. He looked at her. Then at the room. I was sitting on the desk, watching them, with Whiskers in my arms. I wanted to say something. I didn't even know what. Not an apology, not forgiveness. Just something. But in the end, only one question stayed with me. The same one I had carried for years. Why was I never enough? My dad placed a hand on my mom's shoulder. She didn't react. Neither of them spoke. I got down from the desk, walked toward them, stopped right in front of them, and looked at their faces, for the last time, because everything was about to change. Detective Reyes's blue folder was already in the prosecutor's hands. Tomorrow morning, at 8 a.m., they would receive the official notice, and I would be there. Just like I always had been, without them ever knowing. The notice came at 8:04 a.m. Not a letter, a knock, firm, direct, the kind that doesn't ask if it's a good time. My dad opened the door with his tie still hanging loose around his neck. Outside stood Detective Reyes, the prosecutor, and 4 officers. Mr. Carter, Mrs. Carter. The prosecutor spoke calmly, like someone who had done this many times before. You are under arrest for aggravated child neglect, administration of an unauthorized substance resulting in death, and obstruction of justice through an unlawful financial agreement. My mom didn't say anything. My dad tried to speak, twice. Nothing came out. I stood in the hallway with Whiskers, watching everything, I watched as they put the handcuffs on them. I watched as Ethan opened his door, confused, still half asleep. He froze when he saw what was happening. Didn't understand, didn't know what to do. My mom walked past my room. For a brief second, she looked at it, just a fraction of a second. But I saw it, something I had never seen before. Recognition, like she finally understood I had been there all along, and she had chosen not to see me. It was too late for that to fix anything, but it still meant something. They were taken away. The apartment fell silent again. But this time, it felt different. The trial lasted 3 weeks. I was there every day, sitting in the gallery, with Whiskers in my lap, and the little girl from the rooftop beside me. Her name was Sophia. We didn't need to talk much. We understood each other, the way people do when they've lived through the same kind of silence. Detective Reyes testified on the second day, for over an hour. She spoke about everything: the medical records, the unauthorized compound, the old scars, the testimonies from my classmates, the forensic report, the $200,000 transfer, every detail. Clear, precise, no hesitation. The defense tried to break her testimony. 20 minutes of questions. She answered all of them. Calm, steady, without backing down. The jury listened. Dylan Hale had already been sentenced. 2 weeks before my parents' trial ended. 15 years. The judge read the sentence without emotion, but when he mentioned the money and the timing, he paused. Just for a moment, Victor Hale got 6 years. Obstruction, bribery. I watched him walk out of the courtroom. The same man who had once looked untouchable. Now, smaller, the money was confiscated. All of it. Not for Ethan. Not for anything they had planned. It went to a victim compensation fund. Just like that. Gone. On the final day, the prosecutor gave the closing statement. He didn't talk about numbers or laws. He talked about me, about a 4-year-old girl locked in a freezing room because getting sick cost money, about a teenager who came to school hungry, who fell asleep in class, who ran home holding a cancer diagnosis, like it was something good, because it meant she might finally be cared for. He paused, then said, "She didn't die because her family lacked resources. She died because, for years, her family chose not to see her." The courtroom went completely silent. My dad stared at the table. My mom looked at her hands. And I, sitting there between Sophia and Whiskers, finally understood something. I hadn't spent my life pretending. I hadn't been exaggerating. I hadn't been asking for too much. I had just been a child, wanting the same thing any child wants. And somehow, I had learned to apologize for that. Like it was something wrong, something I needed to hide, but it wasn't. It never was. There was nothing to apologize for. There never had been. The judge read the sentence. 12 years each. I didn't cry. Didn't feel relief. Didn't feel anything I thought I would. Just something heavy, settling. Final. Sophia held my hand. Whiskers purred softly. We stayed there until the courtroom emptied. I don't know how long ghosts stay. I don't know if we leave, or just fade. But I know this. On the last day of the trial, Detective Reyes stayed behind, alone in the courtroom. She took a photo out of the blue folder, my school photo. Hair tied back, that small smile I always forced. She looked at it for a long time, then placed it gently on the table, like it mattered, and said quietly, "It's done, Emily." I don't know if she said it for herself, or if somehow she knew I was there, but I heard it, and that was enough. If I learned anything, it's this: pain that gets ignored doesn't disappear, it grows. Quietly. Until it becomes too much to hide. Some people will keep looking away because it's easier, but some won't. Some people open a folder and don't stop until everything is seen, everything is said, everything is faced. People like Detective Reyes. People who hear the knocking behind the door, even when everyone else says it's nothing. Because of people like that, I wasn't invisible anymore. Not completely. And maybe, just maybe, someone like Sophia, or someone else like us, might still have a chance.